Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flourgoldwizards channel. I'm Jason, a part-time gold prospector based in Wisconsin. That back there, that's Rigby, the world's most famous gold sniffing hound. Today we're on the beautiful beaches of Lake Superior in Michigan, and we're looking for gold today. It's incredibly calm out here. Look at this water, absolutely like glass and crystal clear. This is the unknown prospector, Jim. And we're tag teaming this beach today. We're kind of leapfrogging each other here, checking out spots as we go down the beach. So far, we've been running into a piece here, a piece there, and Jim just landed on a spot here where he's finding maybe 6, 8, 10 pieces and a little bitty pinch of black sand. But we're looking for something fantastic, and Rigby, the world's most famous gold sniffing hound, is looking for an area that I can accommodate a whole lot of people. Our second Patreon outing of the year is coming up real quick, and we're doing it here. So we're also trying to locate areas where, people can kind of spread out, and maybe not so far they can't see each other, but spread out far enough, you know what I mean? And still be able to get some gold. And there are quite a few deposits around. You just got to walk around a lot of that stuff outside of the water, maybe up in there a little bit, or get up over your knees. But if you got waders, it's cool. So this stuff here definitely has potential. Now, some of you new to the channel or new to gold mining might say, well, what's so great about that? It's just black sand. Well, I'll tell you, this here black sand is way, way, way heavier than the blonde sand. And the gold is also way, way heavier. And it oftentimes accumulates right along with this black sand right here. Mother Nature rolls in the waves in a certain way and leaves the heaviest stuff up here. And all the lights get washed on off. So let's see if we can't find something spectacular. First, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pinch of said black sand right there and see what's in it. Now, I could just take a piece of black sand or a little pinch right off of there, but if you'll notice right here, there is some water coming out of the hillside right there, and that is 100% concentrating this stuff down even a little bit more. It's concentrating the concentrates. So I'm going to take a little bit of this stuff right here, throw it in my pan. Let's go ahead and snatch some of that up, just like such. We'll grab that there and we'll go pan it out in old Lake Superior. And then you be able to get a glimpse of how clear this water is. Just look at that. It's like air. It's so darn clear. And as far out as I can see, it's nothing but cobbles out. Like I said, as far as I can see, that's over my head already. Out there where them fish just jumped. So we'll pan this one out. See what it looks like. Now, I got some pretty darn good pieces of gold out of that stuff right there. Matter of fact, I think I counted 13 or 14. That is not bad for that amount of material. I don't know of any other place I can go and take a big old handful like that and get that much gold. So the beach is definitely my go-to to stack up piles of gold, if you will, as long as you can find it. Mother Nature certainly has a way of moving this stuff out the next day, and your gold mine is gone. Would this place be worth setting up a tub and doing panning all day to get the gold out of it? 100%. Anything above 7, 8 pieces and a little pinch, you're doing pretty darn good. Especially if you can use tools like this here, the Banjo pan. Gold, you can get this from Gold Cube. It really does concentrate this material down at a pretty good pace, and you can go through quite a bit of material and get your concentrates home and clean them up there, so you have more time out in the field here. So let me go ahead and show you this gold, but I think we're going to keep moving on to see if we can't find something spectacular. Look at that guy laying right on it. He did it again, buddy. Oh man, you're good at your job. Well, here's that gold. Let's take a little peek here. Oh, get that up close and personal. Look at that. There's 13, 14 little pieces in there. No big ones, but it is a numbers game. And if you can ride on numbers like that all day long, you can bring home enough gold to weigh for sure. Heck, maybe even wind up with a gram or two if you get on the right spot. So I don't know if you can see Jim way down there. That's going to be one heck of a leapfrog for me. Apparently he hasn't been finding anything because he's moving it right along. So I'm going to grab my gear, head down that way, and see if we can't find 50 in a little pinch. And I figured as long as we're walking down the beach looking for places to prospect, I'd kind of show you what I'm looking for. There'd probably be a pretty good spot right behind this big down root ball right here. It's still got some branches attached to it, and there's lots of black sand mixed in there, and there's some spring water coming out of the hill right there, and it's concentrating that material, and that's all full of black sand down in there. Here's a pretty good example right here. Look at that stuff. I know there's gold in that stuff. We're not too darn far from where we just were, but we're going to keep moving. There's a million spots just like this right here. Them rocks go right up in there. And, you know, I guess we're going to find out wherever Rigby stops, that's where we're going to stop. So let's move. Well, we're catching up to Jim down there, but I don't see his tracks going up into any of this right here. So I'm going to check some of this stuff. Now we're coming from way down back that way here, and I didn't see anything up on this bank right here till we got right about here. But look up in here. That's probably 5 feet, 6 feet off the water line. And it's all kinds of black sand way up here. You can see there's some black sand mixed in with that stuff right there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little pinch of this right here. Just a little handful like such here. Get it on down here and pan that out in the ocean here. Who knows? I mean, the gold is where you find it. And so are agates. I mean, talk about the perfect day to look for agates. You can see every one of these rocks with great detail, and the water magnifies it a little bit. But right now, we're going to find out how much gold we can get in this here pan. And you see the material starting to turn red there a little bit? That's full of garnet sand. Sometimes that's a really good sign. I found some really big size pieces of gold mixed in with that garnet sand. Ooh, let's see here. This stuff does take forever, so I'm gonna kill it quick here. Pull this one back, see what she looks like. Not a one darn speck. Not a one. That kind of surprises me a little bit, but then again, you know, doing what I do for a hobby, you know, in a sense, it doesn't surprise me. So I'm going to keep heading that way and trust Jim's good judgment. Looks like he's coming back to get his stuff. That must mean something. Let's get up there quick before he gets back. Jim says up by those stumps up there, it's pretty good. So how good are we talking here?
Not great, but okay.
Okay, that'll do. And it looks like a pretty wide open spot. And I can actually see over those stumps here, and I can see lots of black sand up and over that. So I think, you know, if we get crowded over by those stumps there, Jim will just have to move. All right. I gotta hurry up and get my stuff. I think I can beat the old man back. Well, he beat me back. And he did find something cool while he's over here. What do you got there?
I got a church rock.
A church rock?
Yep, it's holy.
It's holy. Or you're a really good golfer. And here's where Jim has been working right here. Now, he says he's getting better pieces and more of them up and around in all these stumps right here. Now, earlier in the year, he said it was pretty darn good gold up high, but the waves come crashing on in and bring everything down. The lights go off first, the black sand next, and the gold kind of sticks around on top or just below the surface of that black sand. And if we walk down around this stuff here, you'll see just tons and tons and tons of black sand. I mean, if there's gold in all this stuff, even of, you know, 5 or 6 pieces in a little pinch, you could really mop up out here for sure, just because of the amount of material. And if you get in the right spots, in and amongst all these stumps and all that, it creates little eddies with the water. You know, you could find 50 little pieces in a pinch right there. and maybe 10 up there. It's just how many places you try and whether you're gonna luck out or not. So I'm gonna set all my gear down. I got my backpack on yet. That's probably why Jim beat me back, you know. I got 90 pounds in my backpack. So I'm gonna get set up. Me and Rigby are gonna do some banjo panning. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a couple of small samples from around in some of these areas here where the water is kind of getting sloshed around and see if we can find something a little special. Jim's been pulling up pan after pan over there with really good stuff in it, and I want my share. So let's grab a small handful again. We'll go see what that looks like. Now, if you know you're going to be doing an awful lot of panning, I like to get out at least knee deep. It's a lot less bending over than you would have to do standing in a ankle deep creek. You know, you only get so many bend overs in life. There is a number. So we'll pan this one out. Now that is not too darn bad. I think that spot back there where we first found decent gold might have been a little bit better, but I did find a pretty darn nice piece right there. Let's get that up into focus. See, that one right there is pretty dandy for beach gold, and there's probably 8 or 9 little flecks in there for sure. So before I just go ahead and move on, I'm going to fill up my banjo pan one time, see if we can't rustle up a little bit more material for a test. I mean, you get a little bitty pinch, and it's a pretty good idea of what you're going to get out of, you know, say that area. But if you get a big old banjo pan or a big pan full, I think it's just going to give you a more accurate representation of what you're going to get in a bulk sample. So let's do that. Let's grab the banjo pan and start twanging. Now this here is the banjo pan. In case nobody out there knows what this is, I know a lot of you do, but there's a small mat in here in the neck of this here banjo pan. You got a big old tub right here, and you basically, what you're doing here is you're shimmying this thing back and forth to try to get the gold to separate through the material while you're keeping this thing at a pitch underneath the water, and maybe give it just a little bit left and right. It's not quite as complicated as using, say, a botella pan, but there is a trick to it, and Rigby has taught me the ways. So let's grab some stuff. But before you put any material in here, you always want to tune it up. Bow. That's a pretty good pile of material right there. Probably 10 times the material we're using in just my pan. We'll get rid of some of these big rocks. So we'll stick some water in here, get rid of those. And we want to make sure that material is good and slurried up. Now, as you can see, the material is starting to run down the neck of this banjo pan here. And I don't want it to just roll right off. I'm not sluicing. I'm just shimmying the material under the water, similar to how you use your pan left and right to try to get the gold to fall through that material. And in this case, I'm trying to get it to fall through into that mat right there. And that's a pretty good mat for doing this. It's pocketed. It's not riffles by any means. It's just pocketed like conveyor belt vortex matting. And that's actually what the gold cube comes stock with. You know, works pretty good. And I can chew through some material really quickly with this. You know, am I going to lose gold doing it? Probably. So I'm going to take my time with this particular pan right here. See if I can't get a little bit higher percentage of the gold. And then I think that'll give me a pretty accurate assessment of the material underneath that log over there. And if you hear me crying once in a while, it's because the black flies are biting me while I'm doing this. All right, let's get this one done. Get in a pan and see what it looks like. All right, now I've got that material all run through there. There's a little teeny weeny bit left here, but I thought I saw a piece of gold in there, so I'll just leave that in there and I'll throw this all in my pan. There's even a little nugget trap just in case. All right, I've got some water in my pan right here. Underneath here, there's a little hole. You just poke your finger right up through there and that bottom of that mat comes up. You slide that out, rinse it off. Pretty darn easy. And I'll go ahead and give this thing a rinse. Get that nugget trap I shouldn't laugh because I actually have found a pretty good size specimen out here before with nearly 0.9 of a gram of gold in it. So, you know, you never know what you're going to find out here. That's pretty good amount of material, probably the same as we'd be panning back anyway. So I'll get this one back and see if we rustled up any more gold than just a 3-finger pinch. Stupid flies. Now that only leaves me with about half a teaspoon of concentrates, but all that gold's still in it. So I've just been dumping it in my pail right here, just like that. I'll try to get it down as far as I can, but I'm going to spend a little bit of time doing it off camera because that's taking a lot of my mining time right now. So I'm going to run a whole bunch of banjo pans, get some concentrates in there. Maybe we'll do a little bit of pretty beach rock hunting, you know, PBR. You know, unless Jim wants to film all day. Well, we are still panning away here, finding some really good gold. Jim's over here taking a turn on the banjo pan. He just wanted to check it out. He'll get the hang of it. He's a good prospector. Yeah, he's doing it just right. I don't even have to help him along there, none. So I grabbed my pan and I was playing around here just to see what I could do with a pan, and it's still pretty darn decent. Take a look at that. One little pan's worth. So we're gonna run 3 full pails of that stuff. Rigby was just checking his social media accounts and he came across a little challenge from the glacial gold hunter, Lucas himself. Now he's got a 3-bucket challenge. Pen 3 buckets out of natural material, not pay dirt, whether it be the beach, the creek, the gravel pile, or whatever. So we, being here at the beach, and Rigby checking his social media accounts, are going to accept said challenge. 3 buckets it is, buddy. We're going to get working, and then we'll get this concentrate home, clean it all up real nice, see if our pile's any bigger than yours. Come on, Rigby, get digging. We need this win. Now, I've got about 5 gallons run already, and anybody out there who knows how to pan or has done a lot of panning knows panning will get to your back and your wrist. So we're just going to take a 5-minute break, have a nice cold cobble, maybe throw a rig bone, a bone, you know, or a meat stick. So today we're going to have a snack sponsored by Salmons. These smoked teriyaki flavored beef strips are fantastic. Rigby loves them. So we're going to go ahead, have a little snack. Oh, yeah. There you go, buddy. He needs that. He's a hard-working miner. Oh, Rigby's over here bugging the neighbors. Now, you guys might see Rigby walk around in the creek once in a while, but he doesn't like getting his belly or his back wet. But it's hot out here, so today is his day. Yeah. Yeah, let's get you cooled off. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that feels good. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. I've got what I believe to be 3 full pails, 5-gallon pails. That's a 6-gallon pail of material. All this heavy, heavy black sand panned down, and that's extremely difficult. And I've got about 1 inch, and maybe not even 3/4 of an inch of concentrates down in there. But there's tons and tons of gold in there, that's for sure. We were really getting some nice pieces, and lots of them. I did right there. I did a little bit of scraping up in there. We went down there and did some, and there's gold in all of this stuff. So I do believe we found our Patreon location for later this month, and there's room for everybody, that's for sure. It is panning only, unfortunately. They haven't changed the rules back, but I think there's still going to be plenty of opportunities to have a good time. So I'm going to take my banjo pan. We're going to hit the road. We got a 4-hour ride home. We're We're going to clean this up, see who really wins that 3-bucket challenge. All right, we made it back. I got a nice cold refreshment. That was one long ride. Cobbles, everybody. Here's our container right here. That's a couple inches deep of the heaviest material you ever laid your eyes on. Right there. I've got my sluice all set up and ready to go. We'll just turn on some water. Hopefully you guys can still hear me with the neighbor mowing his lawn. All right, we have water. Excellent. All we gotta do is do some scooping. This is gonna be good. That was an awful lot of panning today. My back is still killing me, but it's gonna be well worth it. Wait till you see this. So I'll kill my water. I'll put this thing up here. Grab my little container, catching all my tailings. I'll grab that out of there and grab a pan. Put it in the pan, turn the water back on a little bit. Yeah, if I can. There we go. Yeah, I'll just give it a couple little shakings around like such here. Yeah, that ought to do it. Let's take a little look. Nice and clean and no gold. It's all in here. Let's take a little gander. And here's what we got for a day's worth of panning. That is a nice little pile of gold right there. I do declare. Some of that looks pretty chunky too. I've got that underneath my microscope here. So let's get it down into microscope depth. There we go. That gold is so beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. Looks like there's a couple maybe tinted pieces in there. And there's still some of that really small black sand in there. And that's the battle. Trying to get that flat gold to fall through trillions and trillions of little round, black, heavy pieces of sand like that. It's the battle of ages, that's for sure. That's some awesome gold and an awesome day. 3-bucket challenge. We crushed it. That's gotta weigh 5 pounds of gold over there. Well, 3 pounds anyway, or so. We had a blast today, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Now, we do have that Patreon outing coming up pretty quick here, and it's a little bit of a hike, but there are some deposits a little closer. So it's panning only. You know, unless you don't mind going to jail, bring whatever you want. Not up to me. So, till the next episode, like, share, subscribe. Please do leave a comment. Helps build our channel. Flourgoldwizards out.